Christina Nolan, I guess this is an exit interview, and it must seem bittersweet.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a dream job because you get to serve the state of Vermont, you get to serve the country. Of course, I'm born and raised in Vermont, so it means such a great deal to be able to serve the state I love and the state I call home, and so much of my family calls home. But it's also been a dream to work with the 56 people at the U.S. Attorney's Office, who I'm telling you are the most good-hearted, talented people. They're going to be at the U.S. Attorney's Office after I leave, and so great work is going to continue, kind of great work you saw for the last 3 years.
Did you want to stay on?
If I was wanted. So it's so important that the president, the new administration have the political appointees that they want. And, you know, for the president to be successful, for President Biden to be successful, which we all want him to be, he needs to have the U.S. attorneys he wants. So it's customary for the new administration to pick new U.S. attorneys. So this isn't uncommon at all. And I want President Biden to have the U.S. attorneys he wants, and I think he's going to have somebody very good.
3 years earlier, Nolan had been that person, tapped by the president for a plum appointment. At her swearing-in ceremony at the federal courthouse, packed with VIPs, federal judges noted her fairness and work ethic. Nolan could argue the law in one breath and beam the next, over a hometown story or her love of orange cats.
Is this a political job? I don't sense you're a political person.
So the job, the process of getting the job involves politics because it requires a presidential nomination and a Senate confirmation. And both the president and the Senate have crucial roles to play. And I was, of course, honored to have a bipartisan recommendation. Governor Phil Scott and Senator Patrick Leahy recommended me, and then I was nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. So it does, in getting the job, there's a political process, but in its function, in the way you do the job, politics should not come into play at all, or you're doing something wrong, because the job is about enforcing the law without regard to any impermissible consideration, and your personal political views should never come into play.
Well, let's talk about your law enforcement and prosecutorial role. You had some high-profile subject matter in your tenure the last 3 years. What stands out to you?
Well, you know, we issued a press release that was fairly lengthy, maybe too lengthy. A number of things. First of all, here's what I'd say generally. We were very productive without losing any of the quality of our work. So while still doing very complex, high-quality cases. And what I mean by that is, before the pandemic, we had increased the number of defendants we were charging by 51%. And I believe that makes the community safer because there's more people being held accountable and more people under court supervision, United States Probation Office supervision. So we were very productive, but we also did some incredible cases, drug cases of international scope, groundbreaking pharmaceutical case against Purdue Pharma that I believe will change the way pharmaceutical companies do business going forward. The largest criminal settlement ever against a pharmaceutical company. A very challenging fraud case in the EB5 case out of the Northeast Kingdom. Sweeping case involving, according to the indictment, years of misconduct, millions of pages of documents. We're very proud that we didn't run from the complicated cases, but we also charged more cases at the same time. So we tackled the most challenging cases of national significance, historically significant cases for Vermont. We also charged more people.
You mentioned the Purdue Pharma case. Obviously, opioid addiction remains a scourge in our state, in our country. And I'm wondering if you think now, after 3 years at the helm, whether you sense we're making progress, winning the fight?
I do, but let me explain. I think the pandemic complicates things, but let me explain why I think we are making progress. In 2019, overdose deaths in Vermont and across the country dropped. In 2019 in Vermont, there were 111 overdose deaths. The year before that, in 2018, there were 130. So we were seeing those numbers drop significantly, and it was, I believe, across the country, state by state. I can't speak for each state, but across the country, you were seeing that trend as well. Now they have come back up during the pandemic, but I do believe that's because it's because of a number of pandemic-related factors: the isolation and the depression that comes with it, and resorting to drugs alone when someone else might not be around to administer Narcan or call 911. Some scaling back of the law enforcement footprint, especially during the early days of the pandemic, suspended court operations, and also treatment providers having to go virtual, which when you have a change like that, some people are not going to fall in line with that change. And so I think that combination of factors, the isolation, the scale back in law enforcement operations to some degree, though we certainly were still enforcing the law, and also the change, the restrictions in the way that treatment was provided, all led to an uptick in the numbers, unfortunately. But I believe if we keep doing what we were doing before the pandemic, they're going to come down again through enforcement of the law and treatment of those who are suffering from substance use addiction, and prevention efforts, getting to young people and people of all ages to convince them not to use drugs in the first place.
Much of her public profile involved fighting drug trafficking, especially opiates. She spoke out against reform ideas like creation of a safe injection site in Burlington, an effort to reduce overdose deaths. Nolan said that would violate federal law and only make things worse.
Drugs are dangerous. We're seeing more fentanyl than heroin these days. 2 milligrams of fentanyl, which is the size of 2 grains of salt, will kill the average adult. Methamphetamine, which I have told my office, well, let's be very aggressive in charging these cases, because we are seeing an uptick in meth in the state of Vermont. Methamphetamine causes psychosis. It causes people to be very violent. In other states, not in the Northeast, but in other states, this is the main problem they have, methamphetamine. So violence causes people to stay up all night, causes property crime, lots of health problems. You can overdose from methamphetamine. And so we don't want to legalize these drugs. We want to create a climate that discourages their use, deters their use, and encourages people to seek drug-free lives. So if you make something legal, more people are going to do it. And so that's why I'm opposed to it. Now, I do want to say, it's not a crime to be addicted to drugs. That is not a crime. We don't charge people for addiction. The answer for addiction is treatment. We've got the best treatment program in the country. So I want to be clear. I'm not suggesting that it's a crime to be addicted. I'm just saying that we don't want to create a climate that encourages use.